going on YouTube? So here we are in the garage getting ready to do some work on Rubi. So I haven't officially shown everybody what the wheels are for Rubi yet, but they are stacked right there. And the wheel pattern, you know, we haven't shown that off, but there you go. There's tires right there, so you can see those. One of the things is with this JK is the tire carrier that's on the back of this Jeep is not very strong. Ow. Got the kid's bike there. This tire carrier, the hinges back here are not very strong. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to do a tire carrier kit. You have a couple of options. You can do a bumper mounted, or you can just put something that beefs up the hinges, and instead of the wheel and tire being mounted to the tailgate that is mounted to the hinges, the hinge mounted systems are actually the hinge and this bracket, and the doors mounted to the hinge, and the wheel and tire is mounted to the hinge. This one, the factory one, is only good to hold something like 70 pounds or something like that, whatever the stock tire is. If you go up to a 35, it's going to weigh a little bit more, and you're going to start bending this, and whenever you open and close your door back here, you're going to have to end up lifting it up in order to open and close it. So we don't want that to happen. So we are going to upgrade the hinges here before we do the lift. And the kit that I went with is the Metal Cloak Tailgate Carrier, Tire Carrier Kit. So, you know, I'm not too much into brand loyalty, but I've really been a fan of Metal Cloak for a while. So got the Metal Cloak Tire Carrier Kit, and our lift kit is sitting right over there, which I haven't really talked about which lift kit we've gone with yet, but it is a Metal Cloak lift kit. We'll get into the specifics of how big and which kit specifically is on another video, because we're going to be installing this here in a couple of days. But today, let's get that tire carrier installed. Let's take a look at what's inside this box. I did order my kit through Rain's Precision Motorsports in Littleton, Colorado. So he does work on Jeeps. You can order your Metal Cloak parts through him. He does installs, alignments, and all that stuff. Let's see. Lots of packaging. So this looks like the hinge bracket that goes on the back. There's two of them there. They're painted black. Fairly nice. Everything's looks like it's quality stuff. Everything in this kit comes like wrapped, like in all this bubble wrap. And they really take that extra step to really protect what they're shipping to you. So I'm gonna get all this pulled out so you guys can see what it is when it's all pulled out here, but I just wanted you guys to take note of the level of packing that Metal Cloak does when they send this to you. So here we go. We got all the pieces out. Those two pieces are painted black. The rest of all this is a powder coat finish. That powder coating looks like it's pretty good. Looking at the welds, it looks like they are man-made welds. So they actually have a welder doing this stuff. It doesn't look like a machine. Well, that looks pretty good. Everything is really durable, pretty thick. I think that's going to do just fine to mount a nice big heavy 35-inch tire on the back of the Jeep. So first thing we need to do is get the spare tire off. So I know I said the next step was to take that off, but you got to spend about 3 hours finding the wheel lock key first, tearing everything out of every single car to ultimately find out that the dealership forgot to put the key back in after they fixed your axle seals under warranty. So 3 hours later, we have the key, and we can now take the spare. After you get the spare tire off, there's these T20 torque screws. There's 4 of them in the back. There's 2 there and 2 there. Removing that will allow the brake light to come off, and we are going to disconnect and remove the brake light. For our application, we actually have a backup camera that was here. I don't know if this is a factory one. Kind of looks like something that was rigged up by the previous owner. Just unscrewed that. We're going to feed that through, but first we got to remove this by removing all these 13mm bolts. It's finally removed. That's off there. Again, you're gonna have probably just the brake light. I have this third-party camera, and this has been removed, so we are going to remove the hinges. So we need to remove these covers, and it's just a matter of grabbing them and pulling them off. I had two hands, this would be easier. You guys get the point, all right? All right, Metal Cloak's instructions say use some painter's tape to tape the door up and make sure it doesn't come off. I don't see painter's tape as holding stuff. Adam made sure to come over to tell me that he asked me why I'm even doing it. Trail Panda's over here laughing at me, wondering why I'm doing it. I don't know, guys. The instructions just say to do it, so I'm doing it, okay? Alrighty. So we are going to use 13mm to remove them from the doors, and there's T50s to remove them from the body of the Jeep. So I got these opened up. That is exposed metal. So is this. Metal Cloak does recommend using some touch-up paint to cover up the exposed metal there to prevent rusting. So I went ahead and got that taken care of. T50 bits to get the hinges off the Jeep. Next thing we need to do is take the tire carrier and start assembling the hinges. So we have the hinge bracket, we have the pin, we have a couple of these washers, and basically you want to feed it in through the top, have that plastic washer in between, all the way through, plastic washer, and then comes out the bottom. So just do that. I found it very difficult to try and get the factory T50 bolts through that while the carrier was on there to get it mounted back on here. So I'm actually going to mount those hinges first, then I'll get that that tire carrier on there. I loosely tightened down all those bolts right there on both these hinges first, then I got this carrier, put them up there, and got the bolts through. So that's what worked for me. A little easier to get into those. It may be a little bit different for you, but that's the way I did it. So this used to be the bumper for the old tire carrier, kept the wheel from vibrating. This needs to go, so just pull that out. So now we need to secure the hinges. So with these nuts, 5/8 inch and a 1/4 inch Allen, we are going to tighten down the hinges. So Metal Cloak provides a bunch of these smaller bolts. We will use 4 of them here, and we will screw them in to help hold this in position. And these 4 larger holes here, we will use the factory bolts and put those back in. Now that we got those 4 all bolted in nice and tight, these ones are still hand tight according to the instructions. We have these plastic caps. We're just going to pop these caps in. So we're supposed to use a 7/32 Allen wrench to put these black bolts into those 4 holes. I've looked at this a few times. I'm not quite sure exactly what that's supposed to do, but maybe it's for a different model or something like that. But we just got to put these in those 4 holes. We got those 4 bolts in there. If you guys know what those are for, let me know in the comments below, because I'm stumped on that. So now we got those. These ones were only hand tightened. We are going to remove these 4 now. So we have our 3 studs, and this is the part that holds the tire. We are to put the studs into that before we mount it on the back of the Jeep. There is set bolt patterns. So since the JK is a 5x5 bolt pattern, we are going to do this hole, and this hole. There's a diagram and the instructions to tell you which holes to go. So this is facing the back of the Jeep, so we want the studs facing outwards this way. Right, if you get stuck on the part where you have to have a press to push the studs through, just a couple of pieces of wood and a hammer, you can set those. The next thing that we need to do is, this is the adjustable tire carrier mount. This is the back side that will adjust up and down, and then we will attach these using provided nuts and bolts. So we're now going to take this and put it up against the tailgate, and then these 13mm bolts that we had, that we hand tightened, we are going to put them back in and attach the carrier to the tailgate. The rest of this stuff is left loose, so we can do fitment of the wheel. All that's left to do is mount the tire, make the adjustments, but all of this should be just fine now. We gotta do the camera and the wiring, but there you go. There's the Metal Cloak Tire Carrier. So totally forgot to do the outro here. We got the 35-inch tire. The wheels, which I haven't revealed yet to everyone, but the tire carrier is installed. So the crazy thing about this is there is no play. So I'm going to grab it at the bottom here, and if I lift it up and drop it, there's no sound. I'm actually shaking the entire Jeep. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do with the brake light and reverse camera to make that look nicer on the back of the Jeep here, but that is pretty solid. So that Metal Cloak Tire Carrier is decent. I think it's worth the money. It's like $650 for this thing, but man, I think it's worth every penny.